Hi guys, welcome back to our city break guides, and next up is the mighty Bavarian city of Munich. So as ever, we're going to walk you through everything you need to know, from what weather to expect during a visit, how to use the metro, a review on all the main attractions, and even some ideas on some day trips outside of Munich. But before all of that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for alerts on all future uploads, and don't leave without giving us a thumbs up if you find it useful. The airport is quite far from the city centre, roughly 40 kilometres, so you have three main options to get into Munich from the airport: a taxi, a bus or train. The train and bus are both cheap and quick, and the former runs for about 22 hours per day, so most visitors will use the metro. Both S1 and S8 lines will get you into the city centre, but S8 is considerably faster, and expect one every 10 minutes. Once in Munich, the metro is extensive and will cover almost every inch of the city you need to visit. The S-Bahn are the regional trains that connect the city to the outlying areas, like the airport, whilst the U-Bahn is the metro serving the city centre. As you can see, divided into zones, with M being the city centre, and costs will depend on how many zones you cross. Single tickets can be purchased from the ticket machines and will be time stamped, so no need to validate before you travel. Trips within Zone M cost €3.30 and increase steadily as you cross the zones. Children aged between 6 and 14 cost €1.50 regardless of zones, and under 6 are free. Day tickets are available and very reasonable, such as unlimited travel within Zone M for only €7.80. It's worth stressing that the city also has a fantastic tram network that's integrated, so the costs already detailed for the S and U-Bahn apply to the trams too. There's so many places to visit in Munich, so here's a condensed list of all of our top things to do in the city. Marienplatz, or Mary Square, is the best place to start any trip to Munich. The central square has been around since 1158, and the symbols of the square are the two towering city halls, the Old Town Hall and the New Town Hall, both of which overlook the square. At its centre, you'll find the Marian column, a statue of the Virgin Mary, erected in 1638 to celebrate the end of the Swedish occupation during the 30 Years' War. Both town halls are now occupied by ministerial and local government offices, but you can visit the new town hall and take a trip up to the observation deck, giving you a great view over the city. It costs €4 for an adult and only €1 for children between 6 and 17. Probably one of the easiest places to find in Munich. It sits on a cross-section of many lines on the S and U-Bahn, and tram 18 will also stop there. Every great city has a great park, and you don't get much better than the English Garden in Munich. It was created by an American called Benjamin Thompson back in 1789. As the name of his park suggests, he was a bit of an Anglophile. He fought as a loyalist during the War of Independence in America. The park's enormous, there's plenty of things to do there. You've got beer gardens, you've got Japanese tea houses, and you've even got surfing. As you'd expect, it's flanked by tram and metro stops, so very easy to get to, and within the park you have plenty of cafes and restaurants for food and drink, but it's also a fabulous place for a picnic and to soak up the sun when the weather's nice. Hofbrauhaus on Platz is regularly touted as the most famous tavern in the world and a real institution of the city. The history of the beer hall goes way back to the 1500s, and Hofbrauhaus itself is a royal brewery. It's actually owned by the Bavarian state. It's a great place to visit. Grab yourself one of these litre glasses of beer and glug it down with some lovely Bavarian pretzels. It's open every day of the year from 9 AM to midnight and is located right in the middle of the city, a few minutes walk from Marienplatz. Olympic Park in Munich was built for the Games of '72, and many of the buildings there are still of use today for various cultural and sporting events, but the main attraction there for tourists is the Olympic Tower. Its viewing platform stands 190 metres up in the air, and the lift takes a mere 30 seconds to whisk you up there. The platform revolves, and unsurprisingly there's a restaurant on offer, providing fine dining with a first-class view over Munich. It's located to the north of the city and can be accessed easily using the U-Bahn, as it has its own stop. Open every day from 9 AM to midnight. Adults cost €9, children between 6 and 16 cost €6, and under 6 are free. Dachau is a lovely little Bavarian town that sits to the west of Munich. It's only about 10 miles away from the city centre, but unfortunately this medieval town will forever be associated with the now infamous concentration camp that was built there back in 1933. It was actually the first Nazi concentration camp built, and it operated right up until it was liberated by US forces in April of 1945. Over 30,000 people lost their lives at Dachau, and today it acts as a permanent reminder of the horrors many had to live through during those years. Entrance is free and easy to travel there from Munich using the S-Bahn. Take line S2 north to Dachau, which will take about 20 minutes, and once at Dachau you'll be able to grab bus 726 that will take you to the entrance of the camp, which takes a further 10 minutes. It's all very well signposted, and you're better off buying a single day ticket from Munich, as that will cover all of your train and bus fares to and from the city. Every major European city in Europe has its own spectacular palace. In Munich they have Nymphenburg, and it's one of the top things to do in the city. It was the main summer residence of the Bavarian rulers of the late 1600s, and the palace is enormous, particularly the famous wide frontal part of the palace stretching an impressive 600 metres across. Tram 17 will get you there if you get off at Schloss Nymphenburg, and you can then visit the palace for €8, and under 18s are free. Alternatively, just admire the building from the outside and make use of the enormous park that surrounds it, which is free to explore. Munich is synonymous with beer, and for good reason. It's the birthplace of the world famous yearly Oktoberfest, but also more impressively it's the birthplace of the much loved beer garden. You'll find them scattered throughout the city. They're of epic proportions, most of which can seat thousands of drinkers. There are plenty to choose from, but notable gardens that usually appear on the top of most lists are the beer garden Hirschgarten, close to the Nymphenburg Palace, the 7,000 capacity Augustiner, one of the oldest in the city, and there's an equally large great beer garden right in the middle of the English garden by the Chinese Tower. With so many sights to see and so many beer gardens to sample, you might want to try the hop-on hop-off bus as a great way of seeing the city from up high and a convenient way of seeing all these attractions that we've mentioned so far in this guide. There are 3 routes on offer, and you can decide to just ride the city tour, Red Line, or ride all 3, red, blue and purple, over 1 or 2 days. Each line takes 60 minutes to get all the way around, and generally the tour runs every day between 10 AM and 5 PM. There are so many things to do in Munich that most tourists won't need to leave the city limits, but if you did fancy a day trip to somewhere a little different, then both Salzburg and Neuschwanstein Castle are well worth a visit. With its Baroque architecture and scenic alpine backdrop, it's a beautiful city to explore, not least its famous medieval fortress that's perched above the city, keeping a watchful eye on everything. The centre of town is a World Heritage Site, and there's plenty to see and do to keep you busy for the day. Salzburg lies 150 kilometres to the east of Munich and can be accessed via car and train in about 1.5 hours. Trains run frequently between the two cities, and a return journey shouldn't cost much more than €40. Now forget Disney, Bavaria has a real-life fairy tale castle that is very much on the tourist trail, so expect large crowds, particularly in the summer. It was built in the 1800s by Ludwig II to honour the famous German composer Richard Wagner, and built in an architectural category called Castle Romanticism. Anyone is free to walk up to the castle and explore the grounds and around its base, but you'll need to order tickets online well in advance if you'd like to go inside. Once you arrive, you can either brave the 40-minute walk from the ticket office up the very steep terrain to the castle entrance, take a horse-drawn cart most of the way for €7 up and €3.50 down, get the shuttle bus up for €2.50 or down again for €1.50. A ticket to visit inside the castle costs €13 and under 18s are free. As we've mentioned already, Bavaria and Munich are heavily associated with beer, but for those that want to sample some of their dishes, then don't leave the city without trying some of these local delicacies. We've travelled extensively with our kids and appreciate the need to find suitable activities for the little ones, as it's invariably their holiday too. So in Munich, we'd recommend the City Zoo, the Deutsches Museum and the Sea Life Centre. The zoo was first founded in 1911 and boasts of being the first geo-zoo. That is a zoo that attempts to recreate the true habitats of the animals it houses, making it more of a nature reserve with larger enclosures than a more traditional zoo. They have an incredible variety of animals from all continents and various activities and interactions throughout the day. Easily found a few minutes walk from the U3 metro stop and open all year round from about 9 AM to 4 PM. Adults will pay €15, children between 4 and 14 pay only €6 and under 4s are free. The Deutsches Museum is the world's largest museum of science and technology and accepts well over 1.5 million visitors a year. It's well over 100 years old and covers every science and tech specialism you can imagine, but also has a kids' kingdom designed for children aged between 3 and 8, full of hands-on activities and interactive displays that will keep the little ones amused whilst learning at the same time. It's incredibly central, only a kilometre from Marienplatz, and sits on its own island. There are S and U-Bahn metro stops nearby, but the most direct way to get there on public transport is by tram on line 16 that will take you directly to Stop Deutsche Museum. Adult tickets for the museum cost €14, children aged between 6 and 17 cost €4.50 and under 6 are free. Lastly, you can always rely on there being a sea life centre in every major city, and Munich is no exception. Shark tunnels, ray pools, rock pools and lots of fish from all of the major seas and oceans are on show at the Munich Sea Life Centre, and various feeding and experiences live throughout the day. It's located up at the Olympic Park, only about 10 minutes walk away from the metro. Book online to receive a discount and store tickets on your phone. Adults cost €16, children between 3 and 14 cost €13, whereas under 3s are free. So that's what to expect from a trip to Munich. Hope you found that useful, but before you leave, if you're new to our channel, then feel free to subscribe as we regularly post content on here to help you plan your next getaway. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and finally, if you're heading off to Munich anytime soon, have a lovely holiday.